The week before Christmas, when the snow seemed to lie thickest, was the moment for carol singing. And when I think back to those nights, it is to the crunch of snow and to the lights of the lanterns on it. Carol singing in my village was a special tithe for the boys. The girls had little to do with it. Like haymaking, blackberrying, stone clearing, and wishing people a happy Easter, it was one of our seasonal perks. By instinct, we knew just when to begin it. A day too soon, and we should have been unwelcome. A day too late, and we should have received lean looks from people whose bounty was already exhausted. When the true moment came, exactly balanced, we recognized it and were ready. So, as soon as the wood had been stacked in the oven to dry for the morning fire, we put on our scarves and went out through the streets, calling loudly between our hands to the various boys who knew the signal, ran out of their houses to join us. One by one, they came stumbling over the snow, swinging their lanterns around their heads, shouting and coughing horribly. "Coming carol backing then?" We were the church choir, so no answer was necessary. For a year we had praised the Lord, out of key, and as a reward for this service, on top of the outing, we now had the right to visit all the big houses to sing our carols and collect our tribute. 8 of us set out that night. There was Sixpence the tanner, who'd never sung in his life, he just worked his mouth in church. The brothers Horace and Boney, who were always fighting everybody and always getting the worst of it. Clergy Green, the preaching maniac, Walt the bully, and my 2 brothers. As we went down the lane, other boys from other villages were already about the hills, boarding King Wynchcott and shouting through keyholes, "Knock on the knocker, ring at the bell, give us a penny for singing so well." They weren't an approved charity as we were, the choir. But competition was in the air. Our first call, as usual, was the house of the squire, and we tripped nervously down his drive. A maid bore the tidings of our arrival away into the echoing distances of the house. The door was left ajar, and we were bidden to begin. We brought no music. The carols were in our head. "Let's give 'em Wild Shepherds," said Jack. We began in confusion, plunging into a wreckage of keys, of different words and tempos. But we gathered our strength. He who sang loudest took the rest of us with him, and the carol took shape, if not sweetness. Suddenly, on the stairs, we saw the old squire himself standing and listening with his head on one side. He didn't move until we'd finished. Then slowly he tottered towards us, dropped 2 coins in our box with a trembling hand, and scratched his name in the book we carried, give each of us a long look with his most blind eyes, and then turned away in silence. As though released from a spell, we took a few sedate steps, and then broke into a run for the gate, and we didn't stop till we were out to the grounds, impatient at least to discover the extent of his bounty, and we squatted by the cowsheds and held our lanterns over the book, and saw that he had written 2 shillings. This was quite a good start. No anyone of any worth in the district would dare give us less than the squire. Mile after mile we went, fighting against the wind, falling into snowdrifts, and navigating by the lights of the houses. And yet we never saw our audience. We called at house after house. We sang in courtyards and porches, outside windows, or in the damp gloom of hallways. We heard voices from hidden rooms. We smelt rich clothes and strange hot food. We saw maids bearing in dishes or carrying away coffee cups. We received nuts, cakes, figs, preserved ginger, dates, cough drops, and money. But we never once saw our patrons. Eventually, we approached our last house high up on the hill, the place of Joseph the farmer. For him we had chosen a special carol, which was about the other Joseph, so we always felt that singing it added a spicy chick to the night. We grouped ourselves around the farmhouse porch. The sky cleared, and broad streams of stars ran down over the valley and away to Wales. On Slad's white slopes, seen through the black sticks of its woods, some red lamps burned in the windows. Everything was quiet. Everywhere there was the faint crackling silence of the winter night. We started singing, and we were all moved by the words and the sudden trueness of our voices. Pure, very clear and breathless, we sang, "As Joseph was walking, we heard an angel sing, This night shall be the birth time of Christ the heavenly King. He neither shall be bed in house or in hall, not in a place of paradise, but in an ox's stall. And 2,000 Christmases became real to us then. The houses, the halls, the places of paradise had all been visited. The stars were bright to guide the kings through the snow, and across the farmyard we could hear the beast in their stalls. We were given roast apples and hot mince pies, and in our nostrils were spices like myrrh, and in our wooden box, as we headed back for the village, there were golden gifts for all.